Amarjit Singh Dulat now joining us, former head of R&AW and former also special director of the INB. Mr. Dulat, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tap into some of your experience in dealing with some of these issues in a practical manner. We were just hearing some of the legal implications. Let's now turn our attention to the practical aspects of a lot of this. First, that a lot of attention clearly on what's happening in West Asia. First, that terrible terror attack by Hamas, and after that, the Israeli counter-attack and what's the humanitarian crisis with civilians there. What's your own sense of it, and what advice, if any, would you give the Israelis at this point?
I'm not a West Asian expert, and I don't know the region at all, but I mean, common sense tells you that, nothing can be forced on anybody, You've got to engage, you've got to talk, you've got to work things out. And actually this Israeli government, which is, they've never had a government as rightist as this. When it came to power, there were generals, Israeli generals, both retired and serving, who expressed apprehensions that, this would lead to a civil war in Israel. Now, that hasn't happened, but a lot of other things are happening. And the whole thing is that, the Palestinians have felt deprived for a long time, and they said this is like apartheid. So unless this Palestinian issue is settled, we'll keep hearing of these problems. Shootouts, killings, attacks. I mean, this kind of attack has never happened on Israeli soil.
Yeah, I guess the Israelis would say that whatever is happening, Hamas brought it on the people of Gaza because of the terror attack. But I just want to talk to you after that terror attack, the Israeli response to that. Now, if you look at India's own reaction, for example, there's been some talk about this. India no stranger to terrorism. India has seen very brutal terror attacks. I wanted to get your sense of the Indian response in some of these cases. You were, for example, the head of R&AW at the time when the IC-814 hijacking happened. And then there was those terrible Mumbai attacks, 26/11. Now, some commentators have pointed to India's reaction, for example, after 26/11, which wasn't to immediately strike back. Perhaps striking back was always difficult because there was Pakistan there which had nuclear weapons. But the way India responded was to use that particular terror attack to build up systematic opinion across the world against Pakistan. And that has then led to a process by which Pakistan has been sidelined on the global stage and successfully painted as a sponsor, state sponsor of terrorism, made into a pariah nation of some sort. So what some commentators are wondering is, was that a better response than what Israel has done by striking so quickly, so hard and so fast at Gaza that attention has become focused a little bit on the civilian casualties that we are seeing in Gaza and not on building up sympathy after what was a really brutal terror attack and also the taking of so many hostages back into Gaza? Did Israel get it slightly wrong? Did it play it wrong after the terror attack?
Yeah, I guess the Israelis were taken so much by surprise, and I think Netanyahu was in a spot, so he had to react. I'm not surprised by that, except that the airstrike which happened yesterday on this Baptist hospital or whatever it is. I want to remind you of something else. You talked about my time in the R&AW, which is very limited. But my contemporary at that time in the Mossad, who served for about 5.5 years as chief there, was a guy called Vikram Chandra. And he used to say, not once, but he said it repeatedly, and there were other Mossad chiefs as well, who used to say that we cannot wish away Hamas, we cannot browbeat Hamas, and we'll have to engage with Hamas. There is no other way. But, opinions change, governments change, thinking changes, so it's that kind of thing.
Mr. Dulat, do you have a view on how Mossad, which is reputed to be one of the best intelligence agencies in the world, and the rest of Israel's security apparatus, again reputed to be one of the best in the world, the cyber security and other things that Israel has, how were they taken by surprise in this sort of a manner? I mean, frankly, India has also been taken by surprise on many occasions. this scale, 1,300 terrorists coming across, no warning being given, a somewhat delayed response in dealing with them. How do you think this happened?
Absolutely. I mean, they were totally surprised. And I think heads are going to roll. I'd be surprised if the Prime Minister survives after all this. It'll take a while, but I think heads are going to roll.
So let me put a slightly different question to you now. I mean, you've heard what Justin Trudeau in Canada are accusing India, and more specifically, I guess, the RAW, the agency that you once headed of. They're accusing India of targeted assassinations, very much in what once used to be Mossad mode. How do you react to the sort of allegations that have been made by Canada?
I've never heard of anything like this before attributed to the R&AW, and I have been denying it, and I'll continue to deny it because we've never been involved in anything like this. What I found even more surprising was that Prime Minister Trudeau had to go to his House of Commons to say all this. These things happen from time to time, and we've sent people back home, not only Pakistanis, but Americans, Chinese, Russians, from here, but it's done quietly, and people are told that this guy is no good and we're going to pack him off. And there's normally tit for tat, which is all right, but it's done quietly. It's not done in Parliament or so much talk about it. Sometimes it doesn't even come out in the media even.
All right, Mr. Dulat, thank you so much, sir, for joining us and giving us the benefit of your experience in all of these matters. Thank you for being with us.